Well, hey there, you're on the internet, it's Shimmertastic Week, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, today's ink is of the series of 10, 7 in alphabetical order, I'm pretty sure. It's the purple of the series. It's Diamine's Purple Pazzazz, with all the extra super amount of Z's. Now, as you can probably tell, it is a purple with gold. The artist formerly known as Prince would have been proud. And, yeah. Okay. Chugging along. Once again, all of these samples, along with Emerald of Chivor, was provided by the wonderful Benefactor from Down Under, who I kind of wish still wanted to be known as He Who Shall Not Be Named, but it's his choice. Anyways, so if you're grateful for these reviews, please do send him some gratitude. Yeah, so let's get started. If you've watched any of my other reviews for the rest of the week, you know that I have been deeply traumatized by glitter in general. And these inks are really not my style. However, I am here for you people, and I'm testing them. So if I don't have a great deal of enthusiasm, that's me personally. It does not necessarily reflect badly on the ink at all, so yeah, I just wanted to clarify. These are the two pens that I used. This is, of course, a JinHao X450, and I love my X450s because they've all been very broad and very wet, and I like that. Now, I also used this Pilot Metropolitan with a Japanese medium nib. Now, as I've said in my previous reviews of this series of inks, several things have become apparent about the line in general. First of all, that the under component, so in this case the purple, is fairly wet flowing. So yeah, that component of the ink is pretty ready, steady flow. However, for every single test, for all 10, because I tend to have a broader nib and then a finer nib, for the finer nibs, I've been using a Metro or Metro-like pen, and I think I've used 5 different ones. Yeah, and they all have the same problem, which is glitter pileup. Insert photo here. Yeah, and what happens is, the glitter gets caught in the feed, and in fact you might be able to see that some of it is still glittering, because even though I've scrubbed the heck out of this thing, it's still got some stuff in there. Anyways, the glitter will end up sort of getting stuck, and then the next piece gets stuck behind that and behind that until it's like a bumper-to-bumper pileup. And yeah, sort of the longer it's in the pen, the more that happens, and we'll see that in the test. And it's a pain in the butt to clean out, because then it just sort of stacks up and stacks up and stacks up until it sort of forms this ring around the back here. So yeah, let's see, I used a fine in turquoise, a fine in orange, a medium MR, a medium in black, a medium in silver. They all did the same thing. So, unless somehow I got 5 equally messed up Metros, I think there's a pattern there. But yeah, just for disclosure's sake, I did want to mention that. Anyways, now, admittedly, Jeroboam has a series of inks that are glittery. They do not have a purple. And so I don't really have anything quite like this that glitters. So I was mostly trying to find an ink that would match this undercolor here. And actually the camera's turning this much more blue when it should be a bit more red, so I shall fix that in post if there's a problem. Note here. Now, first thing I have to compare it to is Diatramentis Giacomo Puccini, and as you can see, there's maybe a little more red, you know, because purple is red and blue, and this one has just a little bit more red to it than this one, but fairly similar. Another Diatramentis ink, Alexander Hamilton, which is actually shockingly similar to Puccini, but maybe a bit lighter, but again, still a little bit more red and a little bit more blue in this one. Diatramentis Aubergine, which is closer. I feel like this one has a little bit more blue. But yeah, this one is still more blue than that. And lastly, and partly because it is so darn popular, is Mont Blanc's Lavender Purple. Yeah, this one's much more red. But, yeah. I didn't have anything quite like it, but there you go. Now, for these chromatographies, I'm going to zoom in, so please do bear with me. That's probably too far. Alrighty, now, this one with the little D is the one that I let dry, which is not how you're supposed to do it, but still. Here's the standard one where you put the line of ink and instantly dunk it in the water. And as you can probably tell, I mean, it's not just a blank slate the way they've often been, but all of the gold stays where the initial line was. A lot of it gets pushed up, but right through here, this is very, very nearly pink. And then up through here, it's much more, it's closer to a blue. And then here, I'd say maybe the area around the initial drop got a bit darker. Not a whole lot of difference, but yeah. So there's that. Now, I want to see some chemical resistance tests. We should zoom out. There we go. Now, oh, the glitter. Now, the water test really got it moving. The bleach test turned it like the color of like the pith on the inside of an orange peel. Ammonia pentblush and hydrogen peroxide also got it moving, but they also started to do weird stuff to the paper. My dog is angry. Paper test, top down in density, Clairefontaine 90 grams per square meter. Now, I don't know how clearly this will come through, but this is a very rich purple. It's an intense purple. It has a lot of body to it. It's, but because it is kind of dark, it's hard to see on camera the shading, but like you see the top of that part of the U, there's the bottom, the branch of that J, this part of the Q. There is some shading in here, but unfortunately I kind of have to hold it at this angle, because if I don't, we get that, and then you can't see the shading at all. But yeah, the Japanese medium took 16 seconds to dry. The fairly broad and wet JinHao took 33. And I just want you to see this smear, because that is some very dense color. And that's a smear. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And through that, you can't very easily make out the lines of the quadrilateral paper. There is plenty of ink in this ink. So yeah, and then gold galore. Yeah, just lots and lots of gold. Oh dear. But yeah, here I just mentioned again that the purple portion of the ink is quite wet flowing. And the dry times, while for an average ink would definitely be on the long side, it is logical, because it's a dense, well-saturated ink, plus it's got particulates, plus the purple component is wet flowing. So if you go into it with a basic knowledge of the individual components, it makes sense. Now, much like the chromatography revealed, there would be some stuff left behind. It would dye the page this, I don't know, it almost looks like grape candy purple. Or I guess if you're in Europe, black currant candy purple. So yeah, but yeah, no bleed, no feather, no echo, no sheen. Very well behaved in that regard. Next up is Fabriano Echo Qua. It's an 85 gram per square meter paper. It's probably one of my favorite papers to use. And as you can really see right here, it's a very nice purple. It's a deep, rich purple. It's hard. You can see some of the shading here, but I wish it was easier to get on camera. Now again, the Japanese medium took 16 seconds, and the fairly broad and wet JinHao took 33. I'm going to turn this there. You can see some of the shading there. That's quite nice. So if you like shading, it's quite lovely. And then we turn it to the side, and it just goes gold. But as you might be able to see, so here, in this writing the 5 Boxing Wizards, you get lots of that gold sheen. Up above, with that Pilot medium, it's not as prevalent, right? And it starts to get patchy in the writing further down as well, and it keeps going. This is where we're starting to get the pile up. But yeah, so honestly, I kind of like this purple. If there's a way I could like skim the ink off of the top and like leave the glitter down at the bottom, I'd quite like it. As I say, it's very bold looking, and it's well behaved in that there's no bleed, no feather, no echo, no sheen, no spread. All good in that regard. And again, the water test is a bit messy. You can see just a tiny bit left behind, but mostly it's dyed the page it would not be easy to recover because, in fact, the camera's increasing the contrast a little bit. But, yeah, so if your life depended on it, I would probably choose not to write whatever this important document is with not sparkly ink. But yeah, so here's Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter. Again, we can kind of see the shading here, like in the G, and the R, and the J. The Japanese medium took 15 seconds to dry. Fairly broad and wet JinHao took 32. And again, you can see the density of color in that smear. It is it's a solid ink all by itself, and then you add glitter on top of it, and it just gets kind of insane. Here at the sharp angle, we can see nice shading some more, and then we turn it, and it's just glitter everywhere. Yeah. And if we come down here you can see that it's kind of patchy again in the Japanese medium. But yeah, so I say it's logically slow drawing for all the reasons I just mentioned. Well behaved, no bleed, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. And again, water test, it made a general mess, and then it's kind of patchy what little is left behind, and it's not much. We got like maybe 3/4 of a T, half an R, 2/3 of an A, almost no W. It's, use something else. Now, next up is Tomoe River paper, which is known for drawing out shading and sheen and dry times and echo, and yes, across the board, because we do have shading, and I feel like we can really see it in the writing when we aren't just getting a full glitter explosion. You can see sort of the loveliness of the purple. I don't know if this is sheen, but we get a dark halo, and because it gets so hidden by the glitter, I'm not sure. I mean, like, maybe if I put it on with like a paintbrush and somehow managed to get the glitter out of it, maybe there would be sheen, but it looks like it could have the potential to sheen. But yeah, so much glitter. Now, that Japanese medium took 27 seconds to dry, which honestly is a little above what I was expecting, but not much. Because again, this is very saturated, it's wet blowing, it's Tomoe River. Yeah, the broad and wet JinHao took 50 seconds and went clean off the page on that smear. But yeah, and as you can probably see in the writing for that medium, the glitter is much less noticeable than, yeah. So, I also say on here, it looks quite dark. Or am I crazy? But I feel like that's some of how this paper works, how it makes sort of ink pool and dry. And so maybe that's just why it looks a little darker to me. But yeah, no bleed, no feather, no spread. I don't think there's any sheen, but there is that dark halo effect, which I kind of like. However, there is some echo. Not show through, not bleed through. It's just this is a very dark ink. And when it's laid on thick, it's even darker. And this is extremely thin paper. So if you are very sensitive to that, that would be an issue. So maybe don't use a broad, wet pen. But yeah, this paper loves to let ink slide away when you add more water. And it both did and didn't. Because as you can see, it didn't dye the page in general very much. And yet it didn't let go completely. Like, there is definitely something there. And it's actually pretty even. Which surprised me. I was not expecting that. So, yeah. Now, for the next 3 tests, I only use that Japanese medium, except to write the name. Now, this is the world's worst 20-pound copier paper. I cannot think of a worse paper I've ever encountered. Just thought that was worth mentioning. Now, again, this is a Japanese medium, so it's very much like a Western fine in general. But here, you can see on the 20-pound, it really spread. The line width got much broader. This is maybe, yeah, maybe like a Western, like a generous Western fine, or maybe a moderate Western medium. Yeah, it's a lot of spread. There is some feathering, like here at the bottom of the D, bottom of the I, bottom of the N, ends of the E, and the sum. But honestly, I was expecting something much worse. I was expecting just like explosive feathers everywhere. It's just in places where there would be shading. I mean, it's not great. There's a lot of spread, there is feathering, it's in little spots kind of throughout. But honestly, I was expecting something much worse. And here, because there is no shading, essentially, on this 20-pound paper, we get much more of a clear purple, whereas, you know, like on here, in some places it almost starts to look just black. And because this is the Metropolitan, and we are experiencing glitter pileup, so like here, where I used the X450 to write the name, we still have lots of glitter. Through here, it's kind of hard to find, and like the further along we go, so like the glitter, quick glitter, brown, fox, where? Jumps, huh? Over the lid, gone. And like scrubby, we get a little less and less and less. And then there's this awesome water test. It exploded. It's just like, yeah, it made a mess. That would not be fun or easy to recover. It also got much more pink. And then we got this. There's a lot of show through. There are dots of bleed through, but not as much as I was expecting, but that would be very uncomfortable to write on both sides. Now, next up is Mead-like paper, not genuine Mead paper, because I've run out of it, and I need to find some more, because this is from a Staples off-brand spiral notebook kind of thing. And, I don't know. Maybe it ages well or something, because we have no spread. Like, look at the line width. There's no spread. We have shading. Like, we have shading in the writing. There is no feathering whatsoever. Yep. Here it took 8 seconds to dry. It took 4 seconds on the 20-pound. Yeah, I say maybe there's a tiny hint of echo, but if there is, it's because the paper is so thin, because, of course, notebook paper is it's even more thin than 20-pound. So, yeah. I don't know what's going on here, but even here, like in the writing, you don't really get much glitter. You get almost none. And then the scrubby, we get a little, it's almost starting to look like a constellation. And then because this stuff is magic, apparently, it all washed off, and there's barely anything there because it's behaving like a premium paper, and I don't know why. Now, lastly is Moleskine notebook paper, which I hate because it's awful. This is awful paper. And they make you pay a lot of money for it. And I really hate ending on Moleskine, but what are you going to do? Now, you can see there is intense feathering, and you get this gross woolly texture where it doesn't even seem like spread. It almost seems like an uneasy, like mold growing outward. It's icky looking. It took 6 seconds to dry. If you write really small, that weird woolly featheriness starts to like lump on itself. It's, yeah, it's just gross. And then, yeah, see, that's a Japanese medium. That is an insane amount of bleed. That got all over the page below. I can practically, yeah, no, I can read this from the back. That's just disgusting. But yeah, and then there's this fabulous water test. I honestly don't know what to call this, so if you're better with words than I am, leave a comment down below to educate the rest of us, because words fail me. Yeah, so there you go. So there, for your consideration from the Triple N Network, Diamine Shimmertastic Purple Pazzazz. Prince would have been all over this shit. But yeah, it's super purpley, it's goldy glittery, it's got some flow problems with Pilot entry-level pens, but yeah, I actually kind of like the purple itself. So, I don't know, like half of these inks I would love if I could just like siphon out the glitter. But yeah, so there you go for your consideration from the Triple N Network. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. Bye.